if it's working. This meeting is being live streamed. Yes, got it. Setting up the thing. Okay, so I'm still not completely fluid in the live streaming world of Zoom and doing the show. But I believe you can write comments on Facebook and I will see them because it's right here, right there. So yeah, I think that should work. Pull up my show notes and kind of get present. Whew. Welcome. Let me press this bigger. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just getting on to Thriving Live, welcome to today's show. I believe we are at number, wow, I think we are at number 19. Yeah, we're at 19. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it. Okay, let me change my notes here. And we are on the 25th. No, it's the 26th. Wow. That means I misdated a lot of things today, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Welcome for being here and tuning in to Thriving Live with Gabrielle Senza. I am here almost every single Tuesday at 2 Eastern time. And if you want to come on to the Zoom call part of it so that we could be dialoguing in real time and I could see you, I could see your lovely faces, all you need to do is register for the Zoom calls at bit.ly/Thriving Live. So it's bit.ly/Thriving Live. I believe that if you even tuned in there now, you would be allowed into this call as it is happening now. Wow. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to share today? My format for the shows usually follows the format. There's the intro, which I just did. Welcome to Thriving Live. When we're here, I usually do a pleasure first practice, which can be anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. And then I often have a topic of the day and sometimes a tool of the day, or one or the other. Sometimes both, depending on time available. And if we were live, if there were people here watching live, then I could also answer questions, or I could ask you questions and you could answer, which is even more fun. And then we would wrap up with wins, insights, and learnings based on whatever we talked about today or whatever kinds of processes we did. What I love to do in life, as well as on these shows, is to kind of like coach somebody through a process, through something they're struggling with. And since I don't have any special guests today here in the studio with me, or currently online in the Zoom world, I can either demonstrate a process for myself, which I might do. I'm just thinking of something that might be fun to do. Or sometimes I'll talk about something else. So today I'm just feeling into it. Well, first I would like to take a moment to do the pleasure first, the sort of settling in. It helps me ground. I have been running around. I had some visitors here in the studio today, and we were doing some photo shoots, and then I helped get them up to the next location with my partner, Dan. And then I rushed down here to try to get to the show and started on time. So here we are. So yes, I'm getting grounded. Yeah. So here we are. So today, to get grounded, I think what I will do is get into my body and do some stretching, a little bit of stretching, and feel into it. Okay. So if you're following along, you can either do the sitting or you can stand. I recommend standing if you can, especially if you spend a lot of time sitting, which lately I have been doing way more than I wished that I were. And yeah, so let's just settle in and not stress out about posture or anything like that. Just it's about letting your body be heavy. Feel the gravity into your seat or gravity into your feet, depending on whether you're standing or sitting. I'm just sort of taking an overview of yourself from the outside, but more importantly, from the inside. What are you noticing inside? Are you tensing anywhere? Are you sore anywhere? And just noticing them without needing to change anything, just allowing yourself to notice them without any judgment. You'll hear that from me a lot. The practice of letting go of judgment, especially self-judgment. I know many of us, including myself, are extremely good at that self-judgment thing. And it's a practice to change that and to allow for that to, part of the change happens once we start noticing when it's happening. We don't even have to change it when we notice it. It's just the noticing it that can make such a difference in how we experience something the next time something similar happens. It's just noticing, how do I feel in this moment? How do I, what do I make of it? Either the incident or my thoughts about myself or the thoughts about another person. What do I make of it? And again, just noticing, not judging it. So getting heavy and relaxed in your body. Allowing your body to move if it wants to. Noticing mine wants a little bit of rotation / rocking. Noticing where you might be feeling, if it's a move or if it's a stillness that feels good. That's you're like, oh, that feels nice. Sort of focusing in on that for a minute. And appreciating it, appreciating your body or your space, whatever it is that's giving you that sense of, oh, that feels good. That feels nice. Maybe even breathing into it. So you're going to just sit next to it and observe it quietly with appreciation. And as you spend some time looking at it, observing it, appreciating it, maybe even giving it some words, some qualities, like how would you describe it? Where are you feeling it? Does it change? Can you make it bigger? Can you make it take more space? Does that allow you to feel more pleasure, more sensation of like, wow, that's nice? Allowing your body to move. Sometimes I think we think that we have to stay perfectly still when we're doing like a meditation or some kind of practice like that, and it's not necessary. We're not made out of stone or wood, so we get to actually move our bodies and listen to them. So I just encourage you to do that. Allow yourself to rotate or stretch or roll or whatever it is your body is telling you it wants to do. Feeling myself here and present in this space and at this time. And there's a little twinge of like nervous expectation of my mail slot opening and snapping closed and making a big sound, which scares me every single Tuesday during the show. And I always think, oh, I should fix that, or do something that would make it not so loud, which I haven't done yet. So there's that anticipation. So what did I want to talk about? Yeah, I had sort of like a topic or a topic and a tool actually that we can use and that we can play with. And I don't remember if I've done this on the show already, but I'll do it anyway here again. Because I've been practicing it a little bit more and finding it to be like really helpful and fascinating at how well it works. So if you want to try it, you're welcome to do so. So here it is. So think of, this is about transforming a memory, a somewhat unpleasant memory that you might have from either the recent past or the distant past. It doesn't really matter. Let me think. You think about what slightly unpleasant memory you might want to see transformed, because it just kind of replays over and over again, and is like every time it does replay in your memory, it doesn't leave you with a great feeling, right? There's nothing, it still kind of has charge to it, right? Some negativity to it. So let me just take a sip and think about that for a second. I'm thinking about a story that somebody else told me, which was great. And it worked so well with him when I did the same practice. And now I'm trying to think of one that's kind of similar. Okay, so I have one. Somebody made a comment that I felt was crossing a boundary, let's say, in terms of our relationship. And it was like a relative. So I'll pick that memory, and I hope you have one as well. It could be something that somebody said or did or didn't do, and that you have retained some kind of negative feelings about ever since. Okay. And so I remember that this incident has, yes, it does still have a little bit of charge, negative charge to it, where I'm like, ugh, you know, that was an obnoxious thing to say and wrong. And like, I have all this judgment about it. And I'm not going to erase the memory. I'm not going to get rid of the memory. What I can do is disengage from the negative energy that's still keeping me stuck there, right? Okay, so I remember the incident. I can even remember the room and the space that I was in when it was said to me. And I remember what I thought at the time and all of those things. So I am checking in to see if it's like a still image in my memory or if it's a moving image in my memory. So you do this as well. As you think of that memory that we're going to work with, just tap in and look at it in your mind's eye and notice, is it a moving picture like a movie? Is it a still image like a photograph? Are you in it? Like, can you see yourself in it as though you're looking at yourself in the room or in that space from the observer place, as opposed to being in the photo or in the film and seeing what you were seeing in real time at that time? Okay, so for me, I'm noticing that I am in the photo. I'm not, I am seeing the incident with the eyes, my own eyes in the image. Okay, so I don't see my whole body in the image. I am making the image with my eyes. I hope that makes sense. So noticing, can you see your whole self as though you're watching a movie and you see your whole self in the image? Or are you in the image and seeing everything as though it's right there? So like I said, I see myself completely in the image, or I am in it. I'm sorry, the language doesn't seem to fit right now, but I hope you get the gist of it. So it's basically like I am having the experience again in my mind's eye. And this is what I want to change. So this is how we're going to change it. So let's say I have this, I can make a still image of it in my mind, and I can see all the images in it, including the part of me that I can see, which I don't know, it might be my arms or my legs, I don't know. So I'm making a still image of it with my mind. And then I'm going to imagine that I'm in a movie theater. I might have talked about this on the last episode, I can't remember. And anyway, I'm going to see it as though it's a still image, a photograph, and I'm going to just put it way up on the wall, or you could say on the movie screen. Yes, I did do this one before. I did the movie screen version of this. So let's take it not in movie screen. Let's just say I make a big poster version of the photograph and it's up on my wall, okay, right above my computer here. And I can see it and it's there. And it's exactly how I remember it. And so all the things I think about and heard and felt are there as I look at the photo. Now, what I'm going to do is look at myself from a distance, looking at the photo. All right, so I'm going to disassociate myself from still being and feeling it. So if I imagine the image is there above my computer, and it's a big photograph, like a poster, and then I'm here, I'm going to step back, and now I'm going to imagine that I'm still here though. I'm still here right in front of you and right in front of the photograph, okay? But I'm also going to bring myself back. I could do this just in my mind's eye, right? I can imagine that another part of me or another me is stepping back behind me over maybe by the painting. And the me that's over there can now observe me in front of the computer looking at you and looking at that photograph, right? So I am going to play with this idea of being the me that's not here in my body looking at the photograph, but over there by the painting, looking at me looking at the photograph. So I'm looking at the photograph, or I'm looking at myself looking at the photograph. So it's as though I went over there with a little camera or a movie, not a movie camera thing, but you know what I mean, a video camera, and I'm videotaping this scene from back there. So it's, I think it's called double dissociation. So what I want to notice is, how do I feel back there? How does that version of me feel about what's going on here? It's really interesting because when I tune into it and I'm imagining myself over there, it's kind of like very meta, strange experience. But I can totally imagine myself over there, standing there looking at this. And that person, that version of me that's standing over there is observing this. And that version of me is just like, oh, there's Gabrielle doing her live show in front of the monitor and looking at this still image of a memory that she created in her mind. I mean, the incident happened, but I created the image that I am looking at. I'm allegedly looking at. In my mind's eye, it's totally there. That version of me back there, observing us, that version is not at all attached to the memory. It's not feeling any of the emotion of that memory. It's more interested in seeing me see it. Right? That's kind of interesting. So then sort of collapsing us back into the same person. So if I imagine that version of me coming back in to my body and being here with me now and with you and with this image, the me that is here looking at that image is kind of like, oh, it's just an image now. It doesn't have all the emotion attached to it. It still has the story that, or still has the, it doesn't erase the incident that happened or the thing that was said. It just, it dissolves really the emotion I have about it. So it's just a thing. It's just a thing that happened, right? Or it's like when you look at clouds in the sky, like we don't get attached to the cloud in the sky. We know it's going to pass and it's just a cloud. Or it can be fun, we can have fun with it, or it can be threatening, and then we can say like, oh, it looks like a monster or a dragon or whatever. And then we can so easily release ourselves and our fantasies and our stories from the clouds. Like we don't go home and say, oh my God, I saw the scariest cloud. It looked like a dinosaur, it looked like a monster. No, we could say, oh, we saw some clouds and they were really interesting, so many shapes and all the things. So that's a really simple version of, or example of how we can change the way we think about things and also how we respond to things, really, like how it helps us manage the emotional energy that we are living with on a day-to-day basis. So we could take a different incident, right? Like an everyday incident. I live on a really busy street. The studio's on a very busy street, and there are a lot of people who are parking, and it's parallel parking, right? So not everybody's favorite way to park, and not in everybody's wheelhouse for skills, right? So some people are really good at it and some people are not so good at it. And so there are many times where traffic gets backed up because someone's struggling with backing up in parking, right? Parallel parking. If we're in a hurry and we're behind that person waiting for them to park and getting frustrated because they're holding us up, then, you know, all this emotional stuff can come up. We can get annoyed, we can get frustrated, we could get angry, we could get belligerent, we could become really obnoxious, or we could become even mean. Some people will just, you know, drive by and yell at a person who's struggling and flip them a bird or whatever it is and speed off. So those are all choices. Like those are all ways people respond to things. And so the example I want to use is, oh my God, I just thought of a really good memory, but I think I may have shared this already about being in New Orleans. Yeah, I'm totally sure I did. So let's imagine that I am the driver who's having trouble parking, and that somebody does get really aggressive and obnoxious and like yells at me and says obscenities and flips the bird and races off and roars their engine and all the things, right? And so then I very likely would feel really like, I can already feel it in my heart, like my pulse would increase and my anxiety, I would feel more anxious. I'd feel probably some shame and embarrassment and some like anger and sadness and like, oh, I'm so bad. You know, all these different things would come in and rush into my personal experience of that moment. I might get really pissed at the driver. And so they've rushed off, they've done their thing. I get out of the car and I close the door, and I very likely, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I would probably spend some time mulling over it and like dwelling on it, wishing it were different, wishing I had said something in response, or that I knew how to park better, or whatever it was that I might be mulling over in that moment, right? So this exercise would work really well in that moment. So if I don't want to carry that like frustration, emotion, shame, all those negative energies that came in because of that incident and might affect the rest of my day, I could use this practice. I could say, okay, let me make an image in my mind. For me, it works as an image. It could be a sound. It could just be the sound of the car. It could be the voices that were heard. And yeah, I'll play with that. Instead of making an image, I will play with the sound. So what I can recall from the incident that I've made up, this hasn't really happened to me, but very similar things happen every day here. So I'm using it as an example. So let's say I'm just focusing on the audio of the incident. So I can hear in my mind's eye, in my ear, the blinking of my signal. I can hear the rumbling of a big truck behind me, like a pickup truck. And I can imagine hearing someone's voice being really loud and obnoxious and saying something really mean that likely I wouldn't have caught exactly what they said, but I would get the gist of what they said. And then the rumbling of the truck as it drives by, which for me like can vibrate my whole body, right? So it's kind of can live inside me for a bit. So I will choose to look at it that way. So in this exercise, what I would do with that, it's like, okay, those are all the pieces. So what if I now turn it into like funny sounds, like my door goes clink, and the truck sound is like blah, 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 and the voice goes right, like it just speeds up and becomes like really silly sounding, and that truck engine muffler sound that would be so loud and rumbly would be like, right? Just something like quiet. Like, oh, that's kind of funny. What else can I do with it? Okay, let's take those same sounds and do something different. Let's like make them as quiet as possible and slow down. So like the sound of my door closing would be like, right? And then the truck engine would be like, hardly noticeable. And then the obnoxious voice would be like, and then the rumble of the exhaust, the muffler, would be like, right? So it's like nothing. There's like nothing there. And so sort of by contorting it, transforming it, changing it, muffling it, or making it louder, slower, faster, silly, like all these things, it kind of abstracts the experience for me, right? And it's kind of just a game to play for a moment because I get to use my mind creatively. And I'm left with, okay, how do I feel about that incident? Let me feel into that for a minute because that was all made up. So I'm going to see how that feels. Yeah. So as I think of it and replay it in its original form in my mind, it's kind of like, oh, it's like a cloud. You know, it's just going by. I don't have to take it in. I don't have to make it mean anything. I don't have to let it ruin my day. Because I was able to like dissolve the intensity of that experience as it was impacting me emotionally. You see what I mean? So if you try this, I would love to hear how it goes for you. And please, please, please put comments in the YouTube, or no, I'm not on YouTube right now, but I guess it's the Facebook Live video. You could put your comments on Facebook, or when I do load this up to YouTube, you could put your comments there or wherever you find this video if you watch it. And I'm still thinking about sort of the future of the show and how I want it to go. And I would be really interested in hearing what anyone has to say about that. If you have any requests, the idea for it was to talk about ways that I have found that have helped me thrive in my life and to go from being a survivor of all kinds of very unpleasant things in my life from childhood all the way up through adulthood and even on the day-to-day, like what I'm saying, like this example, this imaginary example, but it's pretty close to real for things I've experienced where, you know, there might be an incident during the day that's very unpleasant. And how do we, what do I use to help me just move past that? Still sort of process it, not like, you know, just bypassing it. It's accepting that it happened and not allowing it to have, to define me or to define my mood. You know, it's like, I don't want to let that bother my, you know, ruin my day. So what can I do about it? So that is that. And we, yeah, it's 2:36. So I'm gonna let today's session be short. I would love to hear how you, what you thought of the practices and if you practiced them. And if so, how it felt for you. What kind of response, what did you notice that you may not have been aware of before? And if you have any questions, just put them in the comments wherever you're finding the video. And if you have, some wins or insights or learnings that you got from the video, I would love to hear about those as well in the comment section. I love communicating with people, and I will do my best to answer you and engage with you. You can follow me on Instagram. I have several accounts there, but you could go to Gabrielle Senza Studio, and then there are links to the other accounts that I have there. And if you would like to support the work I do, I have a sort of patron club that I have recently started, and you are invited to join if you'd like. And it's, I think it's set up as a monthly membership page, a lot like Patreon, but it's a different level of that. And it's at ko-fi.com/Gabrielle Senza. So if you want to support my work and the work I'm doing, you can find me there. I am also on Patreon for a lower membership subscription rate. I think I'll be changing some of the rewards there, sort of simplifying things. And I would love to hear from you. And know also that I am not exclusively an artist. I'm a visual and performing artist. I am also an empowerment coach, and I love working with people to help them manifest their own dreams, as I have done. And I know that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I'd love to support you with that. So you can be in touch anytime, talk with me. I love helping people connect to their own innate brilliance and to see them thrive. Really, I love seeing people thrive. So thank you for joining me today. And I hope I get to see you, your faces, watching either, by coming on to a Zoom call. Again, that's at bit.ly/thriving-live, all one word. And you could get some hot seat coaching or ask questions or any of that kind of thing. And join me for future things. All right. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to hearing from you in the future. All right. Bye.